Welcome. This is a quick introduction to using Noteflight with University of Southern Maine's specific Noteflight account. This is not going to be an exhaustive guide to using Noteflight, and I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff out there. Once you get in and start playing around, you'll notice that Noteflight is really pretty simple to use. We're going to use it all the time for completing assignments, for doing compositions, for doing musical analysis. So everybody's got to get up and running. So I want to show you how it works. The first thing that's critical is that you go to our account, which is usmsom.sites.noteflight.com. I will have a link up on our Blackboard page. Don't go to just the regular noteflight.com. Even if you have a Noteflight account, you're going to need to use your USM account. They can't be linked, so this is just going to have to be a separate account. You can move files back and forth between those accounts, and I can show you how to do that later on. Anyway, you go to this site, then you're going to click sign in, and I'm going to put in my username and my password. If you don't already have an account, if you're using Noteflight for the first time for this class, you'll get a password from me that you'll enter here, and then you'll change it. In most cases, your usernames are your first name and your last name with a space in between them. Okay, so I'm logging in, when I log in, you'll see that here I am on my home screen, and I've got a billion files here. These are all my files. I can organize them into collections, but they still sort of stay in the central area, and we'll talk more about file management in Noteflight at some point. But for right now, I want to just show you some basic stuff. So I'm going to create a new file. And here is, I'm just going to choose piano from the instrument. And Noteflight defaults by creating this little 4-bar snippet. And basically, when it comes to doing any kind of writing or editing, there is a menu over here. If I click it, you see all of these drop-down items. And the ones that have a check next to them, like score and tempo and text, have their items represented in this field up above. And I'm going to clear it up because it's pretty cluttered right now. So if I uncheck score and tempo and text and measure and all of that stuff, color and sound, suddenly you see all that stuff goes away, right? And the ones I usually will have maybe score, measure, sometimes text. That's a basic amount of stuff. That way I've got my tools for time signature and clefs and the different kinds of texts that I might enter. Anyway, I want to show you just some basic operations. So first of all, let's say that I wanted to write a piece in the key of D major. In order to change the key signature for this, I would highlight everything that's here and then choose either go up to here and choose the key signature, or you would find it under measure over here, same thing, right? And then I could choose D major. Choose OK. If I click this, all that stuff goes away. Now everything's in D major. If I want this to be in 3/4 instead of 4/4, again, I highlight everything. I choose the time signature and scale it down. And now you'll see that it's going to turn those 4 bars, which were 16 beats, into 6 bars, which is 18 beats. But that's how it works. If I want to change time signature somewhere here, like just for 2 bars, I would just highlight those and change it like that. Okay, so you have, I'm going to undo that with Command Z, but all of these things are options. When it comes to writing, this is just some of the basic functionality. I will, if I highlight this rest and then I start to type, I get a D. If I want to make that D longer, I'm going to push the right curly, not curly bracket, the right straight bracket. And that's going to expand the length of time. If I want to make it shorter, I will hit the left straight bracket and that goes to an eighth note, and I can keep going, right, forever, and it just makes it up. If I want a dotted half note, I get to a half note, then I push the dot. And then if I want to create another note of a dotted half, I could just push R while this note is highlighted here, and that would get me this, and then I could move it, right? And just, I'm going to do something very simple here. I'll repeat this note again. So I'm just repeating, and then I'm using the arrow buttons to move the notes up or down. If I want to move up or down chromatically, I would do Shift arrow, and then that would take me up or down. And if I want to get from A to, say, G sharp, when I do Shift down, I go to A flat. But if I go down to G and then Shift up, that's how I can get my G sharp, right? So it's all possible. If you just use up and down, you're going to move around diatonically within the key. And then here, I'm going to go back down. And I didn't hit R this time. I just hit the letter D. If I want, by the way, to move up or down an octave, Command up will take me up. Command down will take me down. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to hit right straight bracket. I'm going to hit the dot. And I want to get rid of this last measure, so I'm going to hit Escape. That gets me out of the writing mode. I'm going to highlight this measure. And actually, if I go up here, I can just hit this minus button, I think. I want to be able to hit this minus button. There it is, okay? And this is now my little piece, right? And maybe up here, let's do something like, I'm going to hit Command up to go up the octave. I'm going to hit the right bracket, and I'm going to have like a little piece here, right? So we'll move to C sharp, which is in the key signature, back to D, right? And maybe this could go to E, and let's go back, pretty boring tune, down to C, and down to D. And you'll notice right now it's dialed into the dotted half note, so each new note that I push just gives me that rhythmic value, and that's fine. Again, this annoyingly kind of created another measure that I probably have to keep getting rid of. Okay, and now so now I've got these two little lines. We can listen to them for a moment. And you're saying to yourself, hey, I thought this was MTAS 4. I didn't know we were going to be so tonal. Well, we will for now. I want to show you just a couple of other functions. Number one, if I want to create another voice, right? Let's say we're doing SATB writing, so I want to have stems up in the top, and this would be the lower voice. All I need to do is highlight this note, and if I want to create an upper voice, I can just push U for upper, and now this becomes the lower voice, and this rest represents the upper voice. Let's undo that for a moment by hitting Command Z. If instead I wanted this to be the upper voice, if I hit L for lower, now I've created a lower voice, right? So there it is. I'll undo that again. All right. And quickly, I'll do an upper voice here, and maybe here I'm going to push L. And I'll do this in all of these bars right now. And the reason I'm doing that is to set myself up to write in SATB format. Right now I just have to go in and add my extra voices, right? So here, let's add an F sharp. I'm being as simple as I can right now just to show you some basic stuff. Let's add an A there. And then here, this is looking like a 5 chord, right? So maybe I'll go to a G, and I'll stay on the A here, right? So over here, let's go to an A dotted. Here, let's we'll double the F sharp. There's no terrible crime in that. We'll hang on the A still, okay? And then over here, looking like some sort of E minor chord. So I've got G and E. maybe I'll go up to, maybe here I'll jump up to a D. We'll have a nice little seventh. E, G, D, and maybe we'll let this one jump up to a B. Okay, then over here we've got, hey, we need our seventh, of course, to resolve down. Oh, this can't be a seventh because then I'd have to double this leading tone, which we know we don't want to do. So let's not do that and say we did, in which case maybe I'd rather go G, B. Let's just double that B for the moment. This B could come down and be a seventh here. We've got A, C sharp, and maybe we have an E here. Okay, and then we move to a D, D, and an F sharp. Tripled root, and a third is not such a bad sonority. Okay, let's see what we have now. Okay, now the last thing I really want to show you right now is, let's say I wanted to write Roman numerals, which is very handy. I am going to do that by clicking the lower voice here, and then I'm going to choose this chord symbol button, and if it's not up there, it's under text, and you can see here it's got an abbreviation, which is K. And if I click the bottom staff, hit K, it sets me up for Roman numerals. If I just write 1, then, well, that's all I have to write. For this one, then I hit Tab to get to the next one. Well, this is A, C sharp, E, G. It's a, think about it, 5-4-3 chord. So I'm going to write 5. And then for my Roman numerals, I'm going to write 4/3. And when I tab away, it corrects that voicing, which is pretty cool, right? This is going to be a 1-6. Right, and then here we've got E, B, G, E, looks like a 2-6. 2-6. Okay, and then over here we've got a 5-7 and a 1. All right, so that's how Roman numerals work. And if I instead had clicked on, I'll move this tempo out of the way. If I had instead clicked on the top staff with the K button, which is for chord symbols, that lets me write lead sheets. So I could write D, and then here I could write A7/E, and it just kind of makes everything look great. D/F sharp, and I put the number sign in there, and it makes it sharp. And then this would be E minor/G, and A7 and D. Right, so there are my lead sheets. I put them above. Here are these other things below. Okay, now one thing to remember here is you need to, this is just Noteflight demo. One thing you need to remember is you have to save your work. This is not like Google Docs. If you don't save your work, you'll lose it. And I have had students lose their work before, which is very, very depressing. So don't be that student. Now, once I've saved it, if you wanted to share this score with me, and you won't always be doing it this way, but if you want to share it with me, you would click on Score Details, and then down here you would find Share. This score is not currently shared. You can share the score, and you can choose an individual. And you would find me, and this is my name. It won't come up because I'm in this account right now. So it won't come up, but let's use my student account, Dan Student. And once I, oops, let's not have a typo. Once I click on that, then it's shared with me, and I just have to save that, and that would be shared with me. Okay, but instead I want to show you how this usually is going to work. Let's say I had the lead sheets, but I'm going to get rid of these Roman numeral markers now. And let's say your homework assignment was to was to add the Roman numerals, right? So I'm going to save this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this, and I'm going to share it. It says I'm going to do share score. You'll never do this. This is my job, but I'm going to share this with MTAS 4 for 2019. That's you, right? And I'm going to make this score an activity template, and I'm going to save it. Okay, now I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to get out of my account. Right now, I've created a student account for myself called Dan Student Account, and I'm going to put in my password, which is pretty simple. Not now. Okay, now I'm in the Dan Student account, and Dan Student is currently the only member of the, let's get rid of that. Oh, that's kind of cool though. So Dan Student is the only member of the group MTAS for 2019 because I haven't added all of you yet. So I'm going to go over, and this is my classes and groups. And when I look here, I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to look at scores, and that is my assignment. And by the way, when you first go here, you're going to get this message. This group's content is visible to members only. That's fine. You're a member. You're in the group. Don't let that dissuade you. Some people get scared by that. You just click down to scores. Here's your assignment that I gave you, this Noteflight demo. So your job is to open it, and if you start now, as I am, as Dan's student, putting in Roman numerals, the 1 and the 5, 4, 3, and the 1, 6, right? I'm going to do this. This is 2, 6, this is 5, 7, and this was 1, right? That's it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to call this Noteflight done, right? This is what I'm always going to ask you to do, is change the title to done just by clicking on it, save it, and you're done. You do not need to do anything else. You don't need to go in here and change the sharing because I have made it an activity template. So when you open this up, you create a copy of this file and you share it with me, and I get 20 or 30 or however many copies people do. Okay, so these are the basics of Noteflight. There's a lot more which we'll talk about in class, but these are the basics. With this, I think you can go in and play around. I find that most everything you need to do in Noteflight is pretty simple. It can't do a ton, but it's very simple and pretty elegant, and it's got some real strengths. So enjoy that, and that's the end of our little Noteflight intro.